Have you ever felt like the world is falling apart, even though no one really talks about it? What if I told you that Gregory Aldrete, one of the greatest scholars of ancient history, actually predicted this moment, and that we might be reliving the exact same cycle of self-destruction? Civilizations that once believed they were invincible disappeared quietly, without even realizing they were digging their own graves. Are we just as blind as they were? Today, you're going to understand the signs that history has been trying to teach us, signs we keep ignoring. But before you brush this off as just a theory, know this: collapse is never a loud explosion. It's a slow, invisible decay that we only recognize when it's already too late. If you stick with me until the end of this video, you'll learn how to spot these patterns, and maybe even find a way out before everything falls apart. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe, and drop a comment below. I can feel the collapse, so this message can reach those who still have time to wake up. Since the dawn of recorded history, every great civilization believed it would last forever. Rome called itself the Eternal City. Egypt built pyramids to defy the passage of time. The Aztec Empire saw its rule as the ultimate order of the cosmos. But there's something deeply human about this illusion, thinking we are the exception to the rule of impermanence. Have you ever caught yourself believing that things will always stay the same? Gregory Aldrete studied the final centuries of these civilizations carefully, and what he found was chilling. The more a society prospers, the more it believes it's immune to collapse. It's as if comfort numbs us to reality. Silent arrogance is the first poison to seep in. Have you ever sensed this feeling of false security in our modern world? Rome, even in its final days, was still throwing lavish parties, building grand palaces, and expanding its frontiers. It looked unstoppable until it began crumbling from within. The warning signs were everywhere: extreme inequality, rampant corruption, widespread disillusionment, but no one wanted to see them. Most people make the same mistake. They think collapse only happens to others. Today we look back at these fallen civilizations and wonder, how didn't they see it coming? The cruel truth is, they did see it, but they chose to ignore it. When you're caught up in everyday life, it's hard to feel the ground cracking beneath your feet. Are we making the exact same mistake, thinking our society is somehow different? It's crucial to understand. Collapse doesn't start with chaos. It starts with overconfidence. Aldrete warns that historical arrogance is the first stage of the end. A civilization that sees itself as invincible has already taken its first step toward destruction. Comment below: I see the hidden pride, and tell me if you feel it too. And if Rome, Egypt, and the Aztecs, giants of their time, fell because of their own blindness, what makes us think we'll be any different? In the next chapter, we'll explore why collapse is never a sudden explosion, but rather a slow and silent rot. Have you ever stopped to think about how the fall really begins? When we imagine the fall of a civilization, we picture wars, fires, and destruction. But Gregory Aldrete warns us, real collapse is so slow that almost no one notices it. It's like rust eating away at iron from the inside, long before it finally breaks. Great societies don't explode, they rot. Have you ever stopped to think about how many small cracks we're ignoring in our own world? Rome took centuries to fall. Centuries. While emperors obsessed over parties and luxury, the people suffered from hunger, plagues, and misery. Yet on the surface, everything seemed normal. Aldrete calls this the normalization of decay, when decline becomes the new normal. Does that sound familiar when you look at today's headlines? History shows that the fall of a civilization never happens all at once. It's a slow breakdown, environmental, economic, and moral. The Mayan Empire faced ecological collapse decades before it disappeared. Today, we're facing climate crises, brutal inequality, and extreme social polarization. Coincidence? Hard to believe. As historian Arnold Toynbee once said, civilizations die from suicide, not by murder. It's not some external enemy that destroys us. It's our own inability to act while there's still time. Most people make the mistake of waiting for a solution to come from above, from some savior. But the savior never comes. Have you ever felt that sense of helplessness? Meanwhile, life goes on. We buy, sell, post on social media, pretending everything's fine. But the foundations are crumbling. Aldrete shows us that by the time we truly notice the collapse, it's already too late. If you still believe someone will fix everything, it's time to wake up. Leave a comment saying, "I wake up," if you feel this urgent need for change. In the next chapter, we'll dive into the darkest part of Aldrete's theory. True collapse never comes from the outside. It comes from within. Are you ready to see the poison we've spread ourselves? When we think of destruction, we picture enemy armies crossing borders, cities set ablaze, ruthless tyrants seizing power. But the truth Gregory Aldrete reveals is even more terrifying. True collapse begins from within. Moral decay, silent corruption, the loss of purpose. These things eat away at a civilization long before the first invasion. Are we already seeing these signs all around us? Rome wasn't destroyed just by the barbarians. Long before the sackings and the plundering, the empire had already rotted from the inside. Political corruption, crushing inequality, the loss of shared values. By the time the enemy arrived, Rome was already a sandcastle waiting for the final wave. Aldrete points out that the most dangerous evil is the one we learn to live with. Have you noticed how today we normalize the absurd? Seneca once said, "No wind favors the sailor who doesn't know where he's going." When a society loses its sense of direction, any path seems acceptable, even the path to ruin. And it's exactly in this void of meaning that opportunistic leaders, extremism, and internal wars arise. The same pattern that brought down so many civilizations seems to be unfolding again, right before our eyes. And this is where most people make the most fatal mistake. Believing that collapse is someone else's fault. We always blame the government, the elites, minorities. But we rarely look inward. Aldrete teaches us that the poison of decay is collective, and every small individual choice helps feed it. Have you ever asked yourself what part you play in the bigger picture? The fragmentation of modern society, mutual distrust, contempt for science, glorification of ignorance. These are all clear symptoms of what Aldrete described. When a civilization starts mocking what is noble and celebrating what is vile, the end is no longer a question of if, but when. Do you feel it too? Leave a comment saying, "I see the decay," to help spread this reflection. In the next chapter, we'll uncover why, even with such clear signs, we continue to ignore everything and march straight toward the abyss. Do you have the courage to see what no one else wants to face? Gregory Aldrete was clear. Every civilization received warnings before its collapse. Loud, obvious signs, yet they were ignored. The scariest part isn't the end itself. It's the conscious silence that comes before it. Rome had senators who warned about corruption. The Mayans witnessed devastating droughts, but no one wanted to change. Have you ever wondered how many signs we're ignoring right now? Human nature's tendency toward collective denial is stronger than we think. Aldrete explains that it's simply too painful to accept that the very system that feeds us could also destroy us. So we pretend everything is fine, convincing ourselves the problems are only temporary. We choose the comfort of illusion over the pain of awareness. Have you ever felt that internal struggle between seeing reality and denying it? In ancient civilizations, prophets, philosophers, and scientists warned, the land is dying, morality is crumbling, people are drifting away from virtue. And still, life went on. until there was no ground left to stand on. Today, scientists warn us about climate change, sociologists speak of social collapse, philosophers point to a loss of meaning. Are we truly listening, or just surviving on autopilot? The greatest mistake most people make is thinking we still have time. That's the fatal trap. Aldrete teaches us that collapse never announces its final hour. It simply reveals the inevitable when there's nothing left to be done. We live in times of polarization, overconsumption, and mass loneliness, and yet tomorrow still feels guaranteed. Is it really? And even when we do see the signs, we tend to hope someone will fix it. A new leader, a new technology, a new miracle. But history is brutally clear. No one saves a civilization that refuses to change. Do you feel that weight too? Leave a comment saying, "I see the signs," if this truth resonates with you. In the next chapter, we'll explore how even a single small mistake can start the domino effect of collapse, and why we're much more fragile than we think. Are you ready to understand what truly brings civilizations down? The collapse of a civilization isn't caused by one grand, dramatic event, as many people imagine. Gregory Aldrete shows that it only takes a small failure, neglected for too long, to trigger the domino effect. It's like a tiny crack in a dam that, if ignored, eventually leads to a devastating collapse. Have you ever wondered if the first stone has already fallen? The Byzantine Empire didn't fall overnight. It was a series of small missteps, bad decisions, fragile alliances. Each mistake seemed insignificant on its own, until together they formed an unstoppable avalanche. Today, we see small crises emerging everywhere: climate, economy, politics. Are we underestimating the buildup of our own mistakes? Most people make the mistake of focusing only on the big disasters, but Aldrete teaches us the small signs are far more dangerous because they go unnoticed. By the time we realize it, the system is already collapsing from within. Every seemingly local crisis we ignore could be the beginning of something global. Do you feel like the world is becoming more and more unstable? Whether it was the Wall Street crash of 1929, today's environmental crisis, or the rise of global intolerance, it all started with small acts of negligence, like drops of water that eventually become a flood. Thinking, "This doesn't affect me," is exactly what doomed entire generations in the past. And what about you? Are you seeing the storm forming on the horizon? Albert Camus once said, "The absurd is born of this confrontation between the human need and the unreasonable silence of the world." Life won't give us clear warnings. The universe won't pause to save us from our own blindness. If you feel like we've already passed the point of no return, leave a comment saying, "I see the fall," and help spread this warning. In the next chapter, we'll face the hardest question of all. Is there still hope, or is it already too late to change our fate? Do you want to find out? Gregory Aldrete wasn't a prophet of despair. He was a scholar of truth, and the truth is that even in the midst of decay, there is always a chance for a positive rupture. History shows that some societies manage to reinvent themselves before total collapse. But that only happens when there's courage to face reality. Do you believe there's still time? After the devastation of World War II, Europe and Japan rebuilt not just their cities, but also their values. It was painful, it was slow, but it was possible. The difference was that they acknowledged their fall and chose not to repeat the same mistakes. Aldrete suggests that collective self-awareness is the only real path to rebirth. Do you think we still have the courage for that today? The biggest mistake most people make is waiting for change to come from above. A decree, a new technology, an unexpected hero. But Aldrete, aligned with Stoic thinkers like Epictetus, teaches us true transformation starts within each individual. If you change your mind, your ethics, and your actions, You are already part of the resistance. Do you believe that? It's hard, it's lonely, and often it feels pointless. But every civilization was either saved or doomed by the small daily actions of countless ordinary people. What are you choosing to feed today? Indifference or awareness? Consumerism or responsibility? Blindness or the courage to see? Your answer matters more than you realize. If you've made it this far, it's because you feel that unease, that seed of resistance Aldrete urges us to nurture. Comment, "I am the resistance," to show that hope still lives in this sleeping world. You are part of the small flame that can reignite humanity. Now, in our conclusion, we'll bring all these ideas together and ask, what is our role in the story that is still being written? Will you be a spectator or a protagonist? Every civilization that fell did so because it ignored the signs that were screaming on the horizon. Gregory Aldrete didn't give us empty predictions. He offered us a map of historical repetition, a troubling mirror where we can see the reflection of our own time. Collapse is not inevitable, but blindness, arrogance, and inertia can make it certain. Now, more than ever, every small choice we make matters. Remember, the world won't be saved by grand heroic gestures, but by the quiet courage of those who choose to see and act. You don't have to carry the weight of an entire civilization on your shoulders, but you do need to be a clear voice in the middle of the chaos. You are the spark that can reignite what seems lost. And if you've made it this far, you've already taken the first step. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe we still have a chance, or do you think it's already too late? Comment below, "I choose awareness," or "There's still hope." And if this message resonated with you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who also needs to wake up to reality. Together, we can build a quiet resistance against repeating the mistakes of the past. The future belongs to those who have the courage to look into the darkness and still choose to light a flame.